That's the most rational thought that I've ever had on that topic, because it's easy to hold on to something. I don't remember the studies right now, but there's an academic study on this, that after a person has ownership of a thingy, then they think the thingy is more valuable. And the classic study on that, it might be from Richard Thaler, I don't recall, but there's a study about a coffee cup, like how much would you pay for this coffee cup? And maybe somebody would pay $4 for the coffee cup in that study. I think it's back in the 1980s. So that, how much would you pay for the coffee cup? $4. But if you're given the coffee cup, now it's your coffee cup. And say, how much would you sell it for? And now they want like $7 or something like that. That's the principle of the study. I don't remember the exact numbers. But it's like, the person is only willing to pay $4 to get it. But if it's theirs now, they don't want to sell it for $5. They want to sell it for $7. Be aware that you have that internal bias, That's not only all the other idiots out there, but we also have a bias towards those things. And like, the more you can be aware of cognitive biases and logical fallacies and other human foolishness, you can protect yourself from a lot of mistakes and errors in thought, I just think that's a rational way to look at it. I think that's if I recall, I don't recall learning that from somebody, I think that was my own thought. It's like, all right, if I didn't own this already, would I pay this price for it now? And, if it's not like a pretty clear yes, then you're like, well, let me look at some other things. Is there a better placement of those resources right now? If I were to sell it now, if I had that liquidity, is there a better place that I could put that money that I think would give me a higher return going forward, People do stupid shit like this where this is a dangerous game to play. So I'm going to sound like I'm contradicting myself, okay? But you have to think about it both ways, and sometimes you'll be right one way, and sometimes you'll be right the other way. So, but on occasions, you get a number stuck in your head or something. You bought a stock, and you bought it for $100, and you're like, I'm not selling it till it gets to $225, and it's at $219 or something. Yeah, you're like, not till $225, and you're not looking at it. You're like, hey. I'm waiting to make, 6%. I'm waiting to make 5% more or something. Versus this other, if I sold this thing right now in the same time that it might take to get to that extra $6, if I sold this right now, maybe I could make 30% over there. So while you're waiting around to get your 5%, because you put it in your head you're supposed to get $225, well, you might get your 5% at the cost of the 30% that you could have had. Does that make sense? But if you're also, you get into a different type of mentality, this is the flip side of that coin, you get into a different mentality where if somebody's always looking for like, that went up 8%, there's got to be a better deal today in the market. So let me sell that and pay ordinary income tax instead of long-term capital gains, and then find some other thingy. And if you're bouncing around all the time, like, I'm not trying to be a trader. I'm just saying, like, I found the thing for more than a year. I'm already going to pay the lower taxes on it. It's close to where I wanted, and I think there's a legitimate good opportunity here, an equally good or better opportunity. Well, it's not equally good. I need a significantly better opportunity. Why am I worried about those last few percent if I think there's a significantly better opportunity? So that's another reason that, maybe that doesn't answer your question of like, well, would I buy it today? Maybe. I think it still has some upside. But okay, but this other thing has a lot more upside. Does that make sense? I think a lot of people overlook that. They just get a number stuck in their head sometimes. Some people get a number stuck in their head. There's been sometimes I sold shit too soon. Targa was the worst of it. TRGP? I sold that company. I bought it for like $8, $7.80, $7.80, something like that. I bought it in a margin account, and I don't remember the final price I sold it at, but I do remember is cash on cash returns. Bought it on margin, cash on cash returns. I made 1,806%. So for every dollar I put in, I got back $18.06. 1806. The thing's tripled since then. It's over $200. It's like $200 and something right now.
50 or so.
Yeah. I could have had a 50x. But what kind of asshole's hanging on to get 50x return? If you're up 1,600%, 1,800% cash on cash, yeah, it's 267, 48. 10-year chart. 699 back then in 2020. 699 currently.
67. What did they do?
So it was an oil and gas company in Canada. I don't know. If you're Green Brick Partners, I sold that. 2.7 million, something like that. I told Jake to buy this thing. I seldom tell somebody, like Jake, I just tell him, just do this. Normally, if somebody asks me for something, or hey, what do you think about this? I'll give them an opinion and why they might want to do it, why they might not want to do it, why did I do it, under what circumstance. And Jake is a different entity, so I just have to tell him like, buy this and thank me later. And that's gone right so many times for him that he just like, okay. It's not even a conversation. You don't know why. You don't know what he's doing. You don't know why. It's the only person in the world I'll do that with, because I made him so much money already that someday when I lose him money on something, he can't possibly be mad at me, or like we have to fight. Like if he's mad at me, we have to fight. I have to no, you're not serious. You can't be mad at me. Given everything else, no way. You you. So anyway, Green Brick Partners. I paid $18, something like $18, sold it for around 55. And Jake held on to it longer than me, and he beat my percentage. So I did very well on it. I was up like 2.7 million. So I made more money because I had more shares, but he had a higher percentage return. And then he laughs at me about it on occasion. He's like, I made more money off your big thing. I'm like, all right, I'll remember that. I won't tell you my next ones. He's like, no. Sorry. Green Brick Partners is a home builder based in Dallas. And that was like a 10x return. It was like a 10x return because it was bought in the margin again. 30% down, 70% borrowed. And so I basically putting down like, less than $6 a share, $5.50, $5.80, I don't know, in cash, and then sold it for like, I don't know, 55 or 56 or something. But then it went to 80 something. So, you can't be bitter about those things. It's like Las Vegas Sands. This is the past recession back in 2009. I bought a lot of Las Vegas Sands stock, LVS, in end of 2008 and into 2009. And I owned it for $3.50 on average. At one time it went down to $1.37. At one time it was down to $1.37. I owned it for $3.50 on average, and sold it for like $44 on average. And then it went to $89. So if you're $3.50 into $44, great, amazing, 12x return. But then it went to 89, and their dividends went up significantly along the way. So your timing's not going to be right. And Ray Dalio made $20-some billion. Ray Dalio says it's like much easier to get an Olympic gold medal. There's a lot more people out there with an Olympic gold medal than people who have precise, amazing market timing. Much easier to get an Olympic gold medal, which is statistically true. You can't be mad at yourself because you're like, oh, I only made a 12x return instead of 25x return. Like, how mad are you supposed to be about that? All right, last one. I thought you were raising your hand. Sorry. So, how many yeses do you need to close a sale? How many yeses do you need? There's a reason that salespeople make decent money, they're more psychologically resilient, and they don't get too bothered, or it doesn't hurt their feelings so much, you know? Because you have to deal with all sorts of crazy idiots to be a good salesperson. How much idiocy do you deal with? Yeah. You have to be like a counselor and a therapist and like, and patient and like,
Literally everything.
and shake your head at like, what? And like lies and more lies and more lies, and people hang up on you and call you a dirty name. He and I had a conversation, I don't know, November, December. We did like a Cyber Monday. I think it was December 1st. It was the actual event. We did like a Cyber Monday event. We did like a webinar together, like a sales webinar for 10 Commandments of Wealth. And he just made a comment to me, like, it was fine. He's like, why do people say like, scammer and fraud and blah, blah, blah. And I said, Gordon, the people that say that never even took a course with me. Like, they don't even know me. They never met me. They never took a course. They're just like somebody on the internet just chattering, the vast majority. So I told him, I said, do this. He's got, 1 million followers on Instagram and, very active audience. I said, post on your story, requesting information about, who has anyone been scammed by me or defrauded or whatever. It's like, please contact me if you've been scammed, defrauded, etc. by Derek Moneyberg. And he's like, no, I don't need to do that. I'm like, just do it. Just do it for a joke. Do it for our humor. Like, see what they say. And then I reposted it on my own Instagram. So it's on his Instagram, but then I also reposted it. It's like, write me and tell me about how you've been scammed. And like, what did you hear from a million people following?
They were just complaining about everybody else who was scammed. People they never met. Those people were scammed, but they were never scammed personally.
No,
Right.
heck,
I mean, it's the same thing. Like, everybody who wants me to die has never met me or talked to me, or it's like, it's actually better because I have like a pretty polarizing internet persona. So when people meet me, they're just like, they can't get any worse than that. So the bar's pretty low. So they meet me, and then everyone's like, oh, he's actually pretty nice. I'm like, yeah, because you're nice to me. Like 99% of my interactions on the internet are people attacking me. So I'm just always attacking everybody back. Nobody attacks me in person, so I'm just a regular guy.
You watch this video all the way through, and that tells me you're dedicated to learning more and earning far above average outcomes in your life. Congratulations for that. But now it's time to take action. If you could have earned those results by yourself, you would have done it already. My head coach has opened up a few spots on his high-demand calendar for an in-person, one-on-one strategy session to help you. On this call, we'll give you the pragmatic advice that you can implement tonight to get laser-focused on the right metrics and leave mediocrity far behind in your past. Click that link right now in the description below and apply for your call immediately. Do it now.